allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Dean Reister. Here. Bill Boylan.
Yes.
Brett Steiner.
Yes.
Jason Franks.
Here.
John DeVore.
Here.
Here. Everyone received a copy of minutes from the October meeting. Any questions or corrections to the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make it.
Second.
It's on the floor to approve the October meeting minutes as presented. Jason Franks.
Yep.
Dean Reister.
Yes.
Bill Boylan.
Yes.
Bryce Steiner.
Yes.
John DeVore.
Yes.
Brian Smith.
Yes.
Everyone also received a copy of the October month-end financial report and the reader report. Motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Or for the October finance report. Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Brian Smith,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Bill Boylan,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
and John Horde.
Yes.
Moving on, recognition of the guest that has to be on the meeting agenda, Kyle Zartman.
Yep.
We'd like to come up here, so you can be on the.
Well, speaking with Bryce and Brian, about the veteran banners, the last, meeting, I had forwarded some, a paper to Bryce. There are things that I think, definitely the town needs to consider. I was hoping that you guys, were able to consider, look at those. Those items that I feel that need to be addressed. One in case is, pricing, is there any questions, actually, if you look those through?
Interested in the pricing and stuff. I did get some different, like I talked to Brian, I talked to Ty, like the Rotary and stuff. So I did kind of chip away at some of these questions, but yeah, that was one of the things, the pricing wise, we were kind of wondering if there was like an approximation on like the cost of making it, I guess, versus.
Yeah, with the cost of making it, the biggest cost is, and I included in that paper that, for a double-sided banner, 18 ounce, there's a couple different ones there. The one that we possibly, that we'd look at because, I feel that, I gave it a couple different sizes. Van Wert, they have banners that are 24 by 36. Grover Hill, the ones that are done through Wayne Trace, theirs are 24 by 54. And looking, I've seen the smaller banners. I don't think they stick out as much. I think the larger banner is a much better thing to do, where we can, get information of the veteran that is being honored, a decent picture, and not trying to overload it too much. So in my opinion, the size of it, I would like to see a lot, a little larger. I mean, granted, 24 by 54 is doing, where there's a very minimal waste. And the biggest cost for us, the biggest cost of it, in my opinion, is going to be ink. Ink is not, is not cheap. And the ink that these printers use are, they're about $200 a bottle. And our machine takes 8 of those. Now, judging by I haven't done a full load of them. We haven't done a full load. I don't know how much ink it's going to use. But talking with Wayne Trace, the person that's in charge there, she said they can do banners for, about $10 to $15 banner. But that's not including hardware. The hardware is separate. And so, one of my suggestions is, I feel that, people that want to honor their veteran, needs to, they need to have a skin in the game. I really do feel that. Because I'm not going to be a person that's going to go through and say, hey, I think we should put this person up, and then get people, mad at your, mad about, that their veteran didn't get put up. I think people that want to honor their veteran they need to, pay for a portion of that. And for instance, and I think, $100, I think would probably guarantee, that we could support that for maybe 2 to 3 years. So if something is damaged, and so that $100 would not possibly include the hardware. And at no time would any of the money that is being brought in from this is not going towards anything other than producing banners. Okay, the school or anybody in no way is profiting from this. Okay, so I just want to make that clear that, yeah, the school, this is like a community service project that we have students that are working on, and we think it'd be a great thing to, honor the veterans with that. So, something to think about. Van Wert, looking at they have a website that you can look at. Van Wert, they charge for the initial one $200, and if that wants to be put back up the following year, if it's still in good shape, then it's going to be $100. So there's a recurring fee every year. Now, I know with Wayne Trace they have different policies that they do, because Wayne Trace has done this with their program for the veterans for all those towns that, the Wayne Trace students come from. So the biggest thing for me is I don't know if I should be the one to set the price. I think the town has a lot more things that that might be included in this. Putting the banners up, taking them down, storing them. So there's a lot of those questions I feel the town needs to think about and answer. And my suggestion, I think, and I don't know what the cost is for the town to put them up. That's something that is out of my realm. So, but I just threw a number out there. I felt like, okay, I think $100 would, because of costs, increasing costs and things. I think we could guarantee that for maybe 2 or 3 years. That if something does get damaged, then we could replace it. Trying to keep it affordable also, and because of being done at the school, there is the only cost that we're looking at is the cost of the banner, cost of ink to produce those. So there's, in my opinion, before we get rolling on this, I think I'd like to know what the town is thinking about, the town council, what they would like to do before, because I'd like to start possibly getting information out by the first of the probably hopefully by the first of the year. So now it has been a trouble. I've talked with Bryce about it, because where he gets his material, and because I've had issues of getting this double-sided banner. Right now I'm in contact with another company, creating an account and getting information and getting that to possibly buy material from them. So I did bring, this is on just regular single-sided banner. Now it is just a prototype. It is something that is still being worked on, because there are some things that we got to do to make sure that it fits with, a roll of, lapping it over to fit on a, pole and whatnot. But, so this is 24 by 54. I know it looks large, it's a little dirty, but we just printed it out. Thank you. So there are things that, we got to do. So it's not been lapped over yet to be able to put into the holes, but this is the design that our Mrs. Bagley and her students have designed, that they've come up with. They, it's simple. When you look at other towns, there's a lot of stuff on there and you might not be able to read it. When you're driving by, because you're driving by quickly, you may not be able to read it very well. So there are things that, we want to keep it simple with the name, the branch, and the years of service. Okay. Now, just so you know, this is my grandpa. We were messing around with things. My grandpa was in the Army, but we were messing around to see, okay, how we could fit, other, branches of service on there. So we put Coast Guard. But so this is just an example. Okay, because this is going to have to come down. So this is the top portion, the bottom portion are going to have to be shrunk up a little bit to account for that lap over to go around the poles. So that's just something, but it's going to be an easy fix for us. And bringing it in. Now, granted, this is not the highest quality picture, but we are working on that to get the better picture in there.
That's good.
Great.
Yeah.
So
What's the size?
this is 24 by 54.
Now, once it's finished,
Correct.
it'll be 24 by 48,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but the
because,
once
yeah,
it's done.
yeah, because the top will be lapped over, 24 by, either 48 or 46. I gotta remember what I have written in my notes,
Okay.
for the lap over for when I talked to you.
Mhm.
Okay, so yes, it would be lapped over, so it goes around, and then it would be the same person on front and back. There are things that, are you guys good? I can put this away. Yeah, like I said, we're wanting to keep it simple with the design, but also inquire, have things about the, the flag and just, more putting it on the veteran that we're trying to honor. So, there's other towns, I've been, been through a lot of other towns. I've taken pictures of theirs and whatnot, and, the size wise, I think the larger size is gonna stick out more. And larger lettering where people can read it, as they're driving by.
The
So-
size of that sign, will that have problems in the wind, since how we do have wind issues in this area?
So, and talking with, Mrs. Stokes at Wayne Trace, they've had issues, they've had some issues, but they've, done things to rectify that. Now, are we going to be able to make, are we gonna have issues? Yes, we might have things in the future where, yes, they might blow, get ripped, or they've had issues of other town, like semis or other, big, larger vehicles hitting them, and taking them down, but they've been able to replace them or fix them. They've also, created a 3D file, little 3D file that would go over the ends of the poles. That helps keep, that banner where it's lapped over, that helps keep it on the pole a lot better. And they said they'd be more than willing to share that file with us. They've done a lot of great things over there, and we've been learning from them. But they've had a lot of success with actually just putting this 3D printed part on the end of that pole to help keep those banners on. And it just pops in and pops out.
The wind does wear them out.
Yes,
I mean, it's
they
just-
do.
I mean, they last a season or two and then.
And I believe that
Running
might be a
warm.
reason why, like Van Wert, they have that stipulation in theirs. And I could send that if you actually go onto Google and you can find their website where they talk about it, the information, and they have a place where you can submit your veteran's picture, the information for it, and also a payment on there. That was done. Did I write it down or put it in my paper? I thought I put it in but it's the mainstreetvanwert.org. And it's called the MSVW Hometown Hero. And they have I think like a Bitly, not a Bitly, but another way where they are able to get payments. But that would be something I think that working with the Rotary is going to be involved with, because as a school, I do not want us to be dealing with bringing money in. From, and keeping charge of that money. I think that needs to be another outside. Whereas what we would say is when we order material, we would send an invoice to, say, the Rotary, and then they would, send us a check so that we can purchase that. So, big thing that I would hope that you guys would, look at is, depending on how many people are interested in this, I don't know if we can talk to AEP, power poles, because most other towns around the county are putting them on the electric poles in town. So if that's something that, is possible, I think that would be very beneficial. Especially putting them on our main roads here on 49 and 424. So.
I think we figured out we have 32 poles that we could use without using AEPs. So
Yeah.
essentially we could do 64 banners, like if we do one on each side, depending on the room and the hardware and all that stuff.
See, I would like to keep it to where, say one on each side.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like the same guy on both sides,
Yeah.
but I meant like two people per pole or
Yeah,
whatever.
and so if that's something, then, we would have to arrange the size accordingly, which we can do, when we were going to print it out. So.
How long do they last? Like, do they fade?
Oh, they're gonna fade. They will fade. And I think that's something, that I said, with having maybe a 2 or a 3 year guarantee. After 1 year, we can assess them and say, all right, this one needs to be reprinted. And then after, whatever, I mean, I would definitely like to work with you guys on that information. Of, okay, how long can we guarantee these? Okay, having a guarantee, so then after, say after 2 years, if it's pretty, beat up, then we could contact those people and say, hey, well, would you like to, do this again? Honor your veteran, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great. I love the workup. I know Ty with the Rotary, they are looking to be involved in doing the money part of it. So I think maybe like if we get the group of us set down, because I did get a lot of like answers to the questions that you were wondering about, and I would like your input, like when we're doing this. So, and I know Bryce has been involved in it too. So if we just get the group of us together and kind of knock it out, keep it rolling.
Yeah.
'cause, like,
The VFW did reach out to me yesterday, so they just want me to keep them posted and how they could help. So there's other, I think, organizations around town that I think would be willing, but like I said, I feel that I don't want to see, it's my opinion that, I don't want to see it just be put on, oh, we get all this money to do this, but then who is going to decide which veteran gets chosen? That's why I feel that, people need to, help with that. They need to have a skin in the game, because I know, we would definitely for, my grandpa. And it doesn't have to be somebody that has passed away. It can be, we're honoring veterans, all the, especially yesterday, we're honoring veterans. I think, it can be somebody that is, still with us, and
So your part of this is pretty much only gonna be production, design and production.
that's the way I would like to see
Our
it.
part would be install and brackets. Does that sound right?
Yep,
And then the other side of Rotary or VFW might be the one that collects or verifies that they are veterans from here and they aren't somewhere else. I don't know about that, but
there is a way to verify it, and honestly, I talked to Shelley Merlin last night, and she did tell me the form that we could ask, say, could you let me know, it's a particular form. I should have wrote it down. I did
DD
not.
214,
What is it?
DD 214.
There it is. I knew it was a D. Yeah, so DD 214. Also, I have a book that was done, I don't know when, my aunt and uncle gave to me that we could use as research, and it was done, with, I believe, the VFW. It's a very good thing that we can actually see, there's a lot of, information about veterans that if they were submitted to that. So we can also see, because that was, verified through either VFW or, or some, backing of military branch and whatnot here, possibly in town. So, but to answer your question, yes, I do not want the school to be involved with,
right.
With the funds. I think that needs to be an outside source, and then when we need that information, we would still need to get that information of, okay, who, also what we can do to get, and I could help come up with this, whatever we decide of how we're going to get that information submitted, how we're going to accept payment, and then we can go from there. I do know Wayne Trace, what they do, and I think it's a great thing, is they send an 8x10-inch proof to the people that have submitted to double check to make sure the information is correct. They do that, just to make sure the information is correct, but also as a little keepsake for that family. So that is something that can definitely be done very easily, and just send out so that they have that also. But just to make sure, yes, did we spell things correctly? So, and we have the years of service. The branch is the picture. But now, are we going to make the pictures look crystal clear? No, but we'll do our best.
They'll be fine from that distance.
Yes.
It'll look good at 35 mile an hour.
Yeah. When you're going by. Wait, what was his name? What was her name?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. We have a couple students and Mrs. Bagley have been working hard on it. We're at the stage now where, well, there's just a few things that we've got to, kind of perfect, with the sizing, but that's the biggest thing. What size do we want to go with? The reason why that 24 by 54 is because, I mean, this is pretty much a 54, inch roll. So, but we can adjust the brackets through, and I haven't talked to them, but I'm sure we can get them from them because they supply wing trays with them. I believe Paldy, with theirs, but those brackets, those are just used with clamps that go around the pole. There's nothing screwed in. And so they could be adjusted to the size that we need.
Ty, did you want to say something about this project at all, since you are working, like,
I was here mostly just to listen, but I have
okay,
Mike and Rotary's consent on the process of vetting.
Okay.
I
Ty Mowry,
yeah,
I can't.
again, like Kyle, we don't want to be responsible for those kinds of decisions. I had email, Facebook post, I got a lot of responses from that. It's brief, 6 weeks, probably 30 people reached out through that to tell me names that they want to see recognized. So I think those 64 spots are gonna fill up pretty quick.
Okay.
Somebody's gonna have to decide.
so maybe the
It's
VFW
priority.
could do that part, you guys handle the money.
We have
We
a
handle it,
process
so-
to certify names because we do it for the monument. And I'm sure the people that do that would do this as well. So it'd be very
Yeah.
seamless and simplistic.
Sounds good.
Good.
Yeah, so as you guys, I guess, we're at the stage now, how do we want to proceed? How do you want Amber School, Rotary? If that's something that, we can, once, well, whatever is done, needs to be done here in this place, making some decisions on things, then we can, form a group, meet, and, we can get some of these little things ironed out. So,
I'll reach out to you and Ty, and I mean, I obviously not speaking for everybody, but like with all this stuff, like I said, the information I've gathered, and we can kind of fill in the blanks and chip away at getting it done, so.
Cool.
Thank you. Good work.
Thanks, Kyle. Do I have to say the whole
Nope.
time?
No,
Thank
thank
you.
You're free to leave.
There you go.
Run.
thank you very much. I really do.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, George did provide a police report. I'm not sure if he's gonna be in for this evening or not. EMS report was not submitted. Committee reports, Brian, I know you had meeting for public safety, I believe.
Yes. Well, Dean was actually I just helped you, the notes, Dean was in charge, he's the chairman.
No, public safety met because zoning wanted to address changing who would be enforcing the what we were saying, the
Ordinances.
yeah, the ordinance it was 2013-32. And it was a discussion of ordinance and possible changes and who would be in charge of enforcing it. We talked about need for a zoning inspector or a code enforcement officer. In the meeting, the recommendation that the committee is to have the solicitor review 2013-32 for any conflicts with the wording and the clarification with what the zoning has prepared for that. So that's where we left that. We were afraid there would be some sort of a conflict on having this ordinance on file plus having the changes made in the zoning, if there was a conflict there.
I think it was the wording with like the police chief and then the appointed, like the mayor appointed person, or what
Those
what
agree.
that covered, if they were all the same, that's like that part of it was where we were all kind of, I guess, back and forth on what it is and what it should be.
Any other committee reports?
Yes, we have a utilities committee report. We spent an hour and 20 some minutes on this, so I'll ask the council, please don't ask any questions or any comments on this, because if you do, then we've just wasted our time. Either you take us at what we recommendation or forget it. That's because we can spend an hour here. I don't want to go back through all this again. So what we come up with is the prices vary from one town to the next. There's no consistency. And we do not have anyone in this room that is an expert that can actually verify that we are setting our prices properly for what we have as far as costs in the water, costs in the sewer. So we were talking about a consulting agency to do an analysis on our water and our sewer costs, what it costs the village. And a recommendation on our billing for the village and for factories inside and outside the village. So that we can be honest with the people here in the town that this is the best we can do for what we got. So our recommendation was to table the two ordinances, 2025-21 and 2025-22, until we're able to find one or possibly two agencies that can come in here and give us a proper analysis of what we're doing and that we're doing it properly, rather than just hoping that we got it right the first time. We had talked, there was a agency RCAP, excuse me, that does this, and I had talked to our village administrator today, and he had another agency. I'd like to have him comment on this afterwards. But we would like to just stay with the billing the same as it is until we can find an agency within a reasonable amount of time. Now, we can't get somebody within, 3 or 4 months or 6 months, whatever, then we can proceed from there. But we'd like to be able to be honest with ourselves and with the village people. So what I'm asking for is a motion to table these two and keep our billing the same until we have a chance to have this analysis. And I'd like to have Brian Davis comment on this and some of the stuff that he has looked into.
I mean, I agree with your comments. A couple weeks ago, I reached out to RCAP and I reached out to BGSU because I was talking with Tim Copsey, and BGSU did an extensive one for Paulding most recently. And the key when you do a rate study is you don't concentrate on the study being a geographic location. You want in the state of Ohio, but you want to find villages that mirror yourself, because that's the best way to determine the rates, because there's so many variables. So the guy at RCAP, his secretary told me he's out until the week of the 24th, and he'll call me then. Bowling Green has not responded to my request, so I will have conversations with RCAP. I've dealt with them over the years. Nonprofit organization, I don't think there's any fee involved. And so we'll end up providing them the required data, and then they will go out and they'll probably find anywhere from 8 to 10 villages just like us or close to it like us. And then they'll do their comparison and they'll submit it for our review. So I'll let you know at the next council meeting. Hopefully they may be already working on it by then. So.
So do we have to table that?
I was just gonna say, we'll entertain a motion to table, ordinance 2025, 21 and 22, if somebody wants to move that.
I will make the motion.
Bryce made the motion to table ordinance 2025, 21 and 22. Is there a second? Bryce, the motion?
I'll second.
Who's that?
John,
John?
Bill, or both?
All right, motion on the floor to table ordinance 2025, 21 and ordinance 2025, 22. Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
John DeVore,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Bill Boylan,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
Any other committee reports? Not, we'll move into the fiscal officer report. The item tonight, is the second reading of resolution 2025-19. This is a resolution adopting the personnel manual for the village of Antwerp, Baldwin County, Ohio, including any and all amendments thereto and all applicable statements attached thereto for calendar year 2026. Originally, we had ordinance 2025-20, or resolution, excuse me, 2025-20. Brian, do you want to speak on that now, or do you want to do it in your administrative report?
I'm sorry, on which one?
The one that you asked, that you requested.
I could speak on it now. I asked it to be removed. What I'm trying to do is accomplish task in the village and not spend money in doing it. And that is in contradiction to accomplish. But we have a problem with the sewer system in that our finished pond or our finished lagoon has a mandate to reduce the nitrogen and ammonia. And we the Ohio EPA changed the range. We went from, let's just use the number 9.0 to 0.3. That's about how bad it was. And there's no way to do that. So we have talked in other meetings about, they basically want us to take and run a 10-inch line from the finished cell to the Maumee, put a pump in line and discharge. That's over $2 million and stuff. So I was sitting there one day and I thought, we got 19 acres that we don't have anything to do with. So I started sending emails down to the EPA and I said, hey, how about I create a wetland? Everybody wants a wetland. I mean, the state, there may actually be money to create a wetland under the H2O program. And so I've been talking with the Ohio EPA and they came back and they said, that's a great idea. As long as you don't discharge into a state waterway, you're in compliance. You don't even have to test. So in that 19 acres, we'd have to put probably a 2-foot high berm around it to protect any water from escaping. But mathematically, if you discharge 250,000 gallons on 19 acres, it's just barely 0.4 of 1 inch. So every day it would be absorbed by the soil. So the chance of having standing water would be probably pretty slim and stuff. So I was supposed to have a meeting with them on Thursday of next week. I've had to ask them to change it. I have some things going on that won't allow me to attend. But we're gonna have some more discussions, but we may have a fix for that. We may end up saving $2.5 million when we're done. We'll have an expense, but it won't be $2.5 million. So that's why I asked him to remove it, because I do not want to move forward with a binding agreement with an engineering company.
Moving on, second reading of ordinance 2025-18. This is an ordinance establishing compensation for Village of Antwerp, Ohio for the calendar year 2026. Next is the second reading of ordinance 2025-19. This is an ordinance to establish the time and place of regular meetings of the council for the Village of Antwerp, Paulding County, Ohio for calendar year 2026. Next is ordinance 2025-20. This is an ordinance setting temporary appropriations for 2026, which shall be in effect until permanent appropriations are set, or April 1st, 2026, whichever shall occur first. The two items that were on the agenda have been tabled.
All right, well, I got a few things I want to cover.
Can do that new business or old business.
Most of it, I think, is a blend of new and old. So we'll just do it as my report. How about that? As we have discussed, recently, the state of Ohio has come out with a mandate that the political subdivisions will have to adhere to specific mandated IT security requirements. Kevin has worked with SBT, who does our IT. They provided late today a copy of their recommendations and cost. It costs us about $16,400 to implement the measures. Kevin and I will sit down and we'll review it and go through it. There's some things in there that we have questions on whether or not it's necessary or whether or not we need it. But and we'll come back next month and make a report. It's not, we're not obligated to move forward and complete the task until I think July of 26. So we don't have a time crunch, but that's where we're at with that. The second thing is, which is very interesting, is I received an email and I have been in communication with Lana Barragazzi, and she is a 50% owner in what they call as the Antwerp Village of Antwerp Square, or Antwerp Square project, and that is the property that's behind the Dollar General. They are going to seek a grant from the state of Ohio, and I think the grant is for $1 million or more, but I'm not certain. And the grant is so new that the process is not even finalized. Right now, it looks like land banks will be the administrator of the grant funding at a local level. It requires political subdivisions to buy in and contribute $50,000 for these individuals to actually be eligible for this grant. So she's asking, would the city or the village participate? I told her I would bring it before council, but I said, I'm also going to bring it before the CIC, because I see once again the opportunity of both entities marrying together to create the $50,000 so that they can participate in the grant funding. So, the one thing is that I'm excited about this group is they realize that there's going to be a significant cost in the infrastructure build out, the streets, the sewers and all that. They're paying for all that. They're not asking us to pay anything. I told them, first of all, we can't, we don't have the money, but they're gonna cover all of that, roads, everything. So, I mean, you know, if the village would agree to do 25,000, seems to me that that's kind of a cheap investment in the actual long run. Uh, I have asked for detailed information, what their anticipated bill out cost will be. She sent an email out today, but I didn't respond because in the email, she's offsite at a meeting, so she couldn't respond anyways. But, in the email, she did say that they have conceptual drawings and things like that. So I will reach out and ask her if she can provide that, so we know kind of, you know, what would it look like when it's done. They're working with a company that builds homes. And this company, when they build homes, they build them 100 at a time. They don't come in and do 2, 6, 10. So it's a big company and they are very interested. So, I think it's very encouraging. I think it's very exciting. And I think it would be very beneficial for us in the long run, but they, like I said, the state still is going through the process of determining how they're going to, they've already, set aside the money, but they have to put in place, how do they grant the money? How do they move the money around? How do they pay the bills? And who's going to be the, you know, the focal point of the grant funding? So that's all I have on that, but hopefully next month we may even have some more. We'll be meeting with, the CIC, Thursday of next week, to have the same discussion, to see if there's a genuine interest in it.
If we do that, would we own shares?
No,
Is that,
you probably realize the park has been paved. I think it turned out rather nice and kind of nice to drive through there and not hit all the potholes
And speed bumps.
and the speed bumps. They asked if they wanted them replaced and I said no, because then people just drive off the side of the road and go around them. So, there's that. I sent an email to, I personally know the director of the Department of Development for the state of Ohio. And I sent an email to her a little over a week ago and I said, hey, so we have an issue. We need to build a water plant and we don't have $8.2 million. I said, what I find odd is getting a loan is very easy. Paying it back is very difficult, but all these agencies are more than happy to give a loan, but there's no grant funds. So I got a call. I hadn't heard back from her, but I got a call from a staff member who referenced my email. And we talked, there's 2 different grants that he believes that we could qualify for. But the problem is that the total is only 1.25 million. So talking with Kevin, we've got, you know, I mean, our loan capacity may be 5 million. And we have other projects on top of this and stuff. So we've got to find more grant funding. It's just, there's really nothing out there. The problem is when you go and you could have 2 villages wanting to fund a new water plant and one village gets the money, the other one doesn't. And why is that? Well, there's criteria and based on how you score within the criteria determines your place in line for grant funding. So like, we don't have any findings and orders, which means the EPA looks at our water plant and says, no, you're right, it's old, but it's operational. Then they look at, let's say Payne, they go, well, yours is kind of old and a mess too, but you got lead. So now that becomes a problem and that becomes a priority. So, and I was talking with a gentleman from the Department of Development. He goes, man, if you could get findings and orders, this wouldn't be an issue. And I go, yeah, well, I mean, what am I gonna do? Poison the wells? I mean, how do you get finding and orders unless you have a catastrophe and stuff? So, so you could sit back and you can take a look and you could say, well, this town got all this money and this town got all this money, but you have to compare apples to apples. You can't just compare project names to project names. because that's not how it works. I mean, generally, low to moderate index is a driving factor for grant funding. Well, the state's largest loan and grant capacity doesn't even look at that. It looks at the census and it looks at what the average household income is in the prior census. Most people who fill out censuses are upper income, not lower income. So that hurts you. So anyways, I don't know why I brought that up, but I just thought I would. So in the critical infrastructure, for the water plant, I also applied for the critical infrastructure for, Wentworth and Canal. And I asked him, I said, is there multiple critical infrastructures within the state of Ohio? Grants by departments, by whatever. He said, no, there's just one. I said, so when are you coming out with the awards? Because usually it's in October. And he said, well, the problem is the department did a complete software change. They went from, I think it was Oasis to Workforce. And he says, you can imagine it didn't go very well. So he said, we're working through the issues and we don't want to award the grants or name the awardees until we can actually produce the grant documentation. Because until you have the documents, you can't move forward. So I was hoping to find out if we qualified, because I have a good feeling that we may have qualified for Wentworth. And if we did for Wentworth and Canal, then the next thing I do is I'll apply for matching CDBG funds, which means we might get $1 million for the street. Now, the construction cost is 2 million, but we can borrow $1 million and we can have the water and the storm replaced on that entire, on both of those streets. So, I think that's all I have. We did, I don't know if this is what you're gonna ask me, but just an update on health insurance rates. We received health insurance rates for 2026 and it was an 11.7% increase. But in those rates, they did not have Damien and they still had Chris and myself. So we got Damon get his form filled out and then we removed Chris and myself. And so they went back out to the open market and we were hoping to have rates today, but more likely the first of the week.
Last week, I think, was finalized on Thursday, Damien's was, and they said probably a week to a week and a half.
Yeah, so once we have that, then we'll be able to address the insurance rates for 2026. That's all I have.
Anything on Schaefer Road, Brian?
No,
Probably not, but.
No.
just ask.
well, other than what I shared, I actually have it written down here. Other than what I shared last month. We looked at doing the grindings and we got Jeff out of the grindings. And so I have a contractor that chips and seals and he will come in the spring and give us a price to chip and seal. And then if we can afford it and if it's economically feasible, that chip and seal is usually done kind of in the month of July. It needs to be a really hot month when you do a chip and seal versus asphalt. So that's my plan, is to go and chip and seal the entire road and stuff, which will make it much better than it is. Anything would make it much better.
I have a question on the water plant, or related to anyway.
Mhm.
I was looking at your report from the EPA in September. And their recommendations, I'll read what it says for the recommendation. Recommendations set out below are not orders. Recommendations are offered by Ohio EPA in an effort to provide compliance assistance in your facilities. Number one, it says to meet the capacity of the newly proposed water treatment plant, Antwerp Village will need to drill additional wells. New well applications will need to be submitted for any purposes wells. Have we done anything as far as the cost analysis?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
There?
We don't need to create new wells.
Well,
We just actually abandoned one. We actually have the capacity to produce 800,000 gallons every 24 hours. We consume about 150,000 gallons. I'm not certain why the EPA one thing I will tell you is the state government is utilizing AI. So you will get copies of things that don't even actually are not even really supposed to be sent to you. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but we don't have a well capacity issue. And we have no intention on doing a well, because I can tell you a well, even though you think you can do one in your backyard for 15,000, when you do a public well, it's like $1 million. So our wells are producing extremely well.
I just
I mean, that's
wondering
kind of a.
whether we looked into that or whether that was gonna be an issue in the future.
I've not even seen that document. A lot of those I don't read, because, Curtis is copied on it and he reads them. A lot of them has to do with, testing parameters and things like that. So he reviews them all. And then if there's an issue, he'll bring them to me. But no, there's never in my meetings with the EPA or the engineering has ever been a discussion of putting in a new well, ever.
Have we applied for the grant? That's in item 11 of what he's talking about.
What grant is that?
The one that's in the report. Specifically.
No, we got that grant 2.5 years ago, and there was a worldwide shortage on generators, and they would not extend the date out to a time frame in which one could actually acquire a generator. So we got the money, we didn't draw it down because we didn't have a generator, and it went back, and everybody in the state had the same issue. We were even trying to get used ones to qualify. So no, I haven't applied for that. And the reason I haven't applied is I don't have an application.
Okay, I was just asking on this because a $50,000 grant that they recommended us to apply for
Mhm.
on September 2nd, and we haven't. I'm afraid we've lost out on money if we'd be the first one.
No, I was aware, but we actually got awarded 75,000 the last time.
Right, and it was declined, but so why wouldn't we apply for this one if we knew about it?
I don't have enough. What am I gonna do with it? This is a generator for a specific application, for a water plant, for things like that. I don't want to buy a brand new generator and connect it to an old water plant
Why?
because it just creates problems. It requires more cost. 50,000 won't buy a new generator. So we're gonna have to actually put in money. I mean, a new generator is gonna cost if you put backup generation on the water plant, you'd be well over $100,000 for a generator for the capacity.
Yeah,
So I didn't apply.
okay. It just seems like, and we should, because we don't know if we're gonna get another water plant.
I know,
And
but
we
they
have to
come out
keep
with
this
this,
running.
they come out with this grant like every 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's not a one and done.
Would it be possible that we get a written report from you every month that tells, like we used to in the past? That might tell, old stuff, new stuff, grants you've applied for, so we can have it in writing.
Well,
Like-
you get it in the minutes from the meetings.
No, we don't. I mean, like, we have reports that we expect from every other department head. I would like to see a report from you. Would that be possible?
I can look into it. I'm
Because
not gonna make a commitment, but I can look into it.
I can't imagine a village administrator not having a written report for everybody. Because it does help us keep on top of these things, especially with the grants. And I'm kind of concerned because we've got other towns around us getting all these other grants. And we're being asked, why are we using the most expensive engineer in the state of Ohio? Do we ever bid these
Because-
out?
Well, yes, council hired Jones and Henry. The first week I came to work for the village,
Okay,
you do a request for qualifications, you review it and you make your decision.
okay.
So that's why.
And that was why I asked you, Kevin, how much have we spent on engineering?
And I replied to your email.
That's
and
correct.
told you
No,
that
I
was
know.
Unable to get that.
I'm
You
just
asked
explaining
yesterday.
why. But in that, do we pay for engineering? Is that
Everybody
correct?
pays for
Yes.
engineering.
Okay, because I talked to a neighboring town and they said, no, we build it's supposed to be built into the grants. If the engineer cannot build it into the grant, if they don't get the grant, they don't get paid.
Okay, well, that's not how it works. Okay, I'll tell you how it works.
Well, I
Yeah.
actually believe in those who get results. Have we filled out? Have we filed for the neighborhood revitalization grant? I've got multiple towns coming to me because they see our videos. And they said, why do you hire the most expensive one? You just need the one that's going to do the job. So I'm looking here. When was the last time we filed for the neighborhood revitalization grant?
I don't know.
So it's never.
These are things
Hold
that
on,
you
hold
should,
on.
but no, these are things that you should bring to him before you try to put him on the spot in front of all of
No.
us. Absolutely,
Okay,
Bryce.
great.
You would expect the same, sir, as if you were going to be put on the spot about a list of things. Don't
Okay.
you think you'd want to know in advance? I'm just asking.
Okay,
You're,
I
you're,
want to make a suggestion here too. I'm not attacking. I just
You-
want to see written reports because like here, this is another village that gave us,
we aren't the other villages. That's the thing. That's one of the things he
this is
pointed
why
out.
we're not getting things done.
Go ahead. Give me a lecture, sir. You got 2 months, so hit it up. Go crazy.
I know. I'm not going crazy.
No,
I'm
not,
just
I didn't mean
looking
go crazy. I meant, go ahead, do your thing.
because-
Go ahead.
Like, this is a spreadsheet that the Village of Payne uses. They have a list of every one of their grants for the last 3 years. It's updated every single month because this way they can keep track. You, me, if we had something like this, we would know what's been applied for. We would know what was received, what wasn't, how much. It has all this information on it. I would love to have something like this. And I'm not attacking anybody. I'm saying, let's improve.
Then ask for the list, but don't have a list of things that you're like, have we
No,
applied for
but-
this? Have we applied for this? Have we done this? Instead of just giving him the list and then asking, that way he has a chance to know what you're going at. I don't disagree with you, Bryce, that we might want to know those things. Absolutely. But the way you're going about it, it's not tactful, if that's a word you want to slap on it. So
I think Bryce, you should call and have a sit down and go over this stuff so he can answer your questions.
Sure, no, that's fine. I just want to know, this kind of stuff. Could we have room for improvement? Yes. I believe so. I would love to see that. And like with the August EPA thing, why don't we get copies of those? Like the water department, the utilities department, that's kind of our committee.
I'm not the one that sends the email out. First of all, it comes out from the state. It goes to the mayor of the village, the administrator of the village, and the water superintendent. That's why it goes out.
Okay.
I mean, if you want me to start sending you all this stuff via email, then just simply ask. But my point is that I don't sit there and go, what are these guys that like to read this stuff today?
I'm just saying it would be pertinent to that committee. And we don't, because we're not CC'd on it.
I know you're not CC'd on it. You're not CC'd on virtually anything, Bryce.
But as a committee, and our job is to be the ones to make the decisions.
As a committee, it's
We
your
do need to know.
responsibility to ask. I don't read minds. I don't send out random emails to people just to
We're not
bug
random
them.
people. We're
I
on
said
the-
random emails to people. I didn't say random people.
No, I get it.
So my point is,
Yeah.
is that if you want something, have the common courtesy to call, email, or come to my office and sit down and we can have a discussion. But to sit here and try to ask me 100 questions on, have you filed for this? I don't file for every grant that's available. I don't have an application. If I don't have an application, I don't file for it. Because
Bryce,
if I get the
have a
money,
question for you. You have been on the utilities committee for a year. You got 2 months left and now you're asking for all these reports and everything?
That-
What's the reasoning here?
No, Jan, that's not quite how it is, but
Explain it to me, please.
I have recently found these things after talking to the EPA myself. And that's how I knew, and that's why we called for these meetings.
So you're asking questions that you already have answers to?
No,
I'm
I'm
not
just, I'm
following you, I'm sorry.
piecemealing the information together. And that's what's good. That's all it is. In the future, how can we get the agenda packets posted online for everybody to read before the meetings? Is that possible?
I have sent them to Tiffany in the past. This month I just failed to send the agenda to her.
Okay, I just want to make sure because obviously, as Brian pointed out, I'm not gonna be around much longer. And that's perfectly fine. I completely get it. But I just want to make sure that the transparency keeps going. But we do have. We do need to keep things going on here. But yeah, I get it.
I have nothing more to
Yeah.
report.
Let's move on.
Any other old business or new business?
Not to, not to bring it back up. I don't know if I missed it or not. Did they ever have the meeting where you were meeting with I think it was called the SCAG or,
Yes, I
They did.
reported back on
You did.
that last month.
okay.
We had
I
the meeting
must
on October 9th.
have- Okay,
And at the end of the roundtable discussions and the presentations, everybody basically around the table was more than happy to loan us money, but there was no grant.
no, great, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Did you want to discuss Mayor and I and your conversation on utility bills?
Yes. So the mayor had asked me a couple months ago to take a look at two things. Could we suspend the fees that we charge for the compost? And could we suspend the fees for what we charge for trash? And so Kevin and I have sat down and talked. We're comfortable with suspending the fees for compost for the year 2026 because we don't actually have the compost pile ground every year. We may want to have it ground every year, but to get the gentlemen to come back and do it every year is a tall task. They evidently have a very good business. So my point is there is enough in the account that by suspending it in 2026, there's still sufficient funds to have that pile ground one more time. And then we can go back to reintroducing the same fee in 2027. Trash is different. Trash is we pay as we go. What we collect, we use. There's virtually no carryover whatsoever. So unless village council, out of the goodness of their hearts, wants to take 60,000+ out of the general fund for a year to suspend the fees for trash, there's no other way to do it. But I would remind you that what you take out of the general fund limits your ability of projects you can do in the village. I mean, it just draws your money down. So we would make a recommendation to suspend the collections for trash for the fiscal year 2026
For compost. no.
or compost, I'm sorry. And we would ask that Brandon, if the council agrees, would do an emergency ordinance to have it approved next month at the next council meeting.
Does anyone want to make a motion to that effect or move forward with that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Those are two items that I was wanting to see happen
So
when
you're-
we started seeing what the revenue was gonna be coming in from our new business that
which
we had
we
in
haven't
town.
received anything from that yet.
I was
So
kind of
maybe-
waiting to
maybe-
see
Maybe
that.
when that starts flowing.
The state hasn't even come to an agreement because the House bill,
There's no appropriations.
yeah,
for
well, the
it.
House bill put forth basically what everybody voted for, which I was happy to see, but then it went to the Senate and it got stalled again. So
So to clarify, your motion is to suspend the compost billing in 2026.
Absolutely.
So there's a motion on the floor to suspend the compost billing and have Brandon draft a emergency resolution for reading at next month's meeting. Dean Reister,
Yes,
Bill Boylan,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner.
Yes.
Jason Franks,
yes.
Tom DeVore,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
and I'll call it my last gift to the village.
Well, there's still time for another one, do you?
Yes. Calendar year 2026.
No other new business, and move into the mayor's report.
monthly reconciliation for Mayor's Court for the month of October. To the city was $2,040, the state $750, indigent driver $30 for a total of $2,820. George is back here. If anybody has any questions for the police department real quick? Thanks, George.
If not, motion to adjourn.
I make the motion.
Second. It hasn't been.
Motion on the floor.
Aye.